You know, when you completely wait for about 8 months involving this special that they've been hyping ever since Comic-Con, which was July of 2017, 2018 that is, and the fact that you really hoping that your fan service really comes to light, that's basically what this special is all about. I gotta say, Spring Breakdown, while it isn't as better as Forgotten Friendship by many people, but it's still a better improvement over Roller Coaster of Friendship. However, it also has a lot of problems that I have with it. But then again, I really didn't expect this special to be a fully fan service for myself. I guess that watching this special from beginning to end, it really shows that they probably did what they could involving the staff of San Carlos and the characters on the cruise. So anyway, similar to the beginning of Legend of Everfree, which they completely take out the dream sequence that Twilight had in that movie, all the characters immediately go on the cruise. So basically, I'm actually kind of thankful that they did this idea, because at the same time, I'm actually kind of afraid that they'll probably going to use a lot of time when the characters get on the boat. But I guess they probably didn't want to make this a lot longer. Believe me, I'm always afraid of 44-minute specials when it comes to this. But anyways, Twilight Sparkle, who completely set up all this vacation for all of her friends, and then Rainbow Dash, who is the main character of this, is convinced that Equestria magic is completely on the loose during their vacation. However, the other characters don't really convince her, because this is a vacation and they want to relax. Yeah, in one of my fanfics, I usually have an issue that magic is always an issue, but at the same time, when they get into a vacation like this, there's no crisis situation whatsoever. So I'm actually kind of thankful. And for the majority of this special from the beginning, Rainbow Dash is so concerned that she checks everywhere in case if there's no equestrian magic whatsoever. And this is probably one of the biggest issues involving the other characters who are on Twilight and Sunset as in this special, but I'll get to those when I get to those. But at the same time, I'm actually kind of ashamed that Spike wasn't in this special, considering the fact that there's a pet store in the cruise. And considering the fact that I thought that animals and dogs are allowed, I guess that Spike had to bit the dust again. Really disappointing, but at the same time, I'm really not sorry for him. Sure, I did call him completely useless and completely unnecessary, but at the same time, I guess that seeing the special, I completely forgive of everything of what Equestria Ghost is trying to do. Anyway, Rainbow Dash continues to look at everything that she looks at, and apparently there's no equestrian magic. I mean, she easily thinks that there is because there's dust inside the theater, but it turns out it was Trixie doing her performance in front of her grandpa and grandma, I guess. So I guess there's no magic whatsoever. You can obviously tell Sunset Shimmer is blaming Rainbow Dash because she was the one who was completely ruined the entire spring vacation. Yeah, apparently the issues that I have is that Rainbow Dash is the focus. And the fact that she thinks that she's just doing everything that she can to make sure that nothing bad has happened. Again, wait a lot later. I still have a lot of time to talk about the story in this. Now, if there's one thing that I'm actually surprised is that they did a song in this, which is probably the only song in this entire special, which again I'll get to later. And then for some reason, it wasn't the Storm King's magic whatsoever. It was just Rainbow Dash's way of just making this completely better by having rainbow lights, but just makes everything worse for the people who are a part of this cruise. You see what the problem I have with these characters getting the spotlight again? Anyway, since that the cruise has completely lost its power, the other characters try to fix the machines and stuff so the cruise can actually completely get back to full power. However, Rainbow Dash seems to find some kind of Huey mark or Storm King's logo of it, whatever you call it, in the ocean, and she immediately thinks that there is equestrian magic going haywire around the cruise. But cliches, yes, that's gonna keep going no matter how many times we see new of these specials. It got away before everyone else got to the location. Well, I guess that's pretty much sums up the fact that this special just can't go on without any cliches. If I ever am going to make a top video involving cliches, and this is probably one of the top reasons onto why I don't like cliches. Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash argue constantly, and this leads to the fact that Rainbow Dash is literally the only reason that completely ruined the entire cruise, so she completely walks away while all the other characters, despite having no power whatsoever, decide to have a food in the dining room, except Applejack's because she's seasick. It wasn't that obvious since I saw the links. Anyway, Sunset and Twilight decide to go find Rainbow Dash in order to apologize to her after the fight that they had. But as it turns out, Rainbow Dash actually used one of the boats in order to go away from the cruise. And I gotta be honest, that's actually a really heartbroken and unreal thing that I ever seen from any other cruise episode or special in my entire life. Sure, Rainbow Dash's goal to find out what equestrian magic is going on, but seeing this instead of an accidental leaving the cruise, I have to admit, this is probably the most original thing that I ever seen from Equestria Girls. Sunset and Twilight decide to get a boat and try to find Rainbow Dash, while the other characters just stay on the boat. When they arrived on the desert island, they noticed that Rainbow Dash is completely in quicksand and she has no way out of escaping it. And then we see a very dangerous plant from the magic that completely caused a lot of these issues and almost eating the other characters. And we'll finally get to see a fully clean, well, almost clean footage of this. Finally. And since we saw the links, we all know that Rainbow Dash, Skytry, and Sunset Simmer went to Equestria because of the quicksand portal. And just like them, right, in all the other videos that I made about Spring Breakdown, they immediately go to Princess Twilight's castle, since that's literally the only option that they have, by avoiding any contact from other characters. And before anybody reacts, yes, Human Dash and Pony Dash almost talk to each other, but apparently there's not enough time in the special. Not saying that it's a disappointment, but at the same time, I think this is literally the only way that we ever get to see both Dashes on screen, by having a hilarious joke. And I have to admit, the joke was pretty hilarious in the timing and delivery that it had. They finally made it to Princess Twilight's castle, and my fan service has come to reality after all this time. But I'm gonna get to that rant later. Obviously, I need to finish the story. And they decide to hang out and completely talk to each other. Just like the other times when Princess Twilight was part of Equestria Girls. Kinda miss those times. But at the same time, I really don't think that this time during the special isn't really that much of a big issue. Mainly because I think that they probably didn't know how to fill in, and they probably need to end the joke that the other side of characters are having an enjoyable time while the other side of the characters from the different world are having a huge crisis situation. Anyway, they completely learn that the staff of Santa Claus's magic completely interfered in the other world. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the fact that Princess Twilight mentioned that they couldn't able to handle all the magic in the battle that they had against the Storm King. So that's why it's completely leading to the other world. At first I thought this was all Princess Twilight's fault, but at the same time I really don't think that's really the case. I guess that considering the fact that a lot can happen between both worlds, it's really not much of a surprise. For all I know, the only thing I can think of is just have literally all the characters in Ponyville to go to the human world to see if that's a crazy finale for what this show is going to do, but I don't think that will be the case. Sunset, Rainbow, and Sunset, from the promos that we saw, completely used the Staff of Santa Claus in order to eliminate all the storm and chaos. And looks like I was right, the storm was from the Staff of Santa Claus all along, except it was the magic. And as it turns out, the Staff of Santa Claus didn't got on the island. I think that would be a huge continuity error and a huge problem involving the special. So I guess that I'm gonna let that slide, since it's probably an understandable reason onto why magic, not the staff, the Storm King's magic was the only thing that came into the Mirror World. But what really surprises me is that I really thought that they're going to repair the ship. But apparently, the ship is going to be sunk. I'm not kidding, the cruise in this entire special is going to get sunk underwater, and there's no way that they're ever going to get back home. They saved all the characters, and looks like I was completely right. There were other characters trying to save other characters from getting sunk underwater, but when they got to the desert island, there was no way to get out of the island since the cruise is completely sank. And was the other option that the Rain Poops have? Well, since that they used the Staff of Santa Claus, since they still have that, I have to admit, the ending really made this special all the worth, especially for everyone else. Here's what the ending is. I'm seriously. This is probably the best ending I have ever seen involving the 44-minute specials. This is way better than the ending of Roller Coaster of Friendship and even Forgotten Friendship. Well, not the ending involving Wildflower Blush, I'm just talking about the joke that they did at the end. I'm not kidding. You know, it's kind of amazing to see that some of this stuff won't happen because of time link issues, but then we get this moment at the end. Oh my god. You can tell that there was a lot of effort involving this joke at the end. I guess those 8 months was really worth it just to see this ending alone. So that was Spring Breakdown, and to be quite honest, even though that it didn't continue anything from the main plot of the Equestria Ghosts saga, you know, the portal, leaking magic and stuff, I completely forgive it for what this special is trying to do. Here's one of the main reasons why I think that this special is more tolerable than the other specials. The biggest improvement is that there's no villain. In fact, there's no forgiveness or friendship or anything like that. This is the first special, even though that you can count Dance Magic and Movie Magic, has no forgiveness whatsoever and no villain or mastermind behind this whole cruise destruction situation. And you know what? I completely found that probably one of the best things to see from the special. I mean, when you look at Roller Coaster of Friendship, you know that they were just rushing it out so hard to the point that they couldn't think of anything else to make that special really memorable like Forgotten Friendship. But considering the fact that this is literally something that they can't figure out, I guess this is literally the second option of being safe. Granted, all the specials don't really need a villain. I mean, if you look at the actions that Wildflower Blush did, it was understandable, but the Roller Coaster of Friendship villain, jeez. You can tell that at this point, during the development of Roller Coaster of Friendship, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to forgiveness. And as for the pacing of this special, I have a mixed bag of it. Considering the fact that we spent for the majority of going through different locations on the cruise, we're pretty much going to see multiple characters going through a lot of scenarios. First, which was Rarity, which he encountered Ragamuffin, who is basically one of the employees who are completely working on the cruise. And apparently, throughout most of the times in the special, he's just going to mess up Rarity's name, which I will admit, I have a lot of issues with my sounds, but who doesn't? I'm just saying. And then throughout some bits and pieces, they start to begin flirting with each other. You know, am I really the only one who finds this shipping a little more better than the Wheeljack shipping from Roller Coaster Friendship? I'm sorry. Not saying that I'm a fan of men and women better than woman and woman shipping, but at the same time, stuff like this really works because it really when you look at the shipping moments in Roller Coaster Friendship, it was really forced and done for the wrong reasons. However, the shipping moments in this, while you can count Dash if you want to, really are limited when it comes to seeing newer characters. Mainly that the fact that I don't think that this is anywhere bad as the relationship between Twilight and Flash Century, or Timber or Twilight from other haters who completely hate those ships, because they don't completely blush or anything. Because even though that Rarity blushed most of the time when you encountered him, you can argue that the fact that it's a lot more better because towards the end of the special, they really ended off with Ragamuffin not completely shocked or completely amazed. I mean, you can actually expect men like him usually to get surprised or anything, but at this point, he's way too intelligent for Rarity. But all I can say is that this ship is way more better than Rarity and Prince Blueblood. Believe that. Anyway, as for the cruise, which is the main focus of this entire special, since that the characters are completely on a huge boat, I guess that some of the characters were almost right involving the situations involving the Equestria magic. But at the same time, I think that they probably did a lot more time than I think involving other characters going through a lot of stuff. I know this is not Spring of Friendship, this is called Spring Breakdown, but at the same time when you look at this, you actually expected something really serious. But apparently, I guess that the Storm King's magic isn't much more of a threat than I thought. But I will say that the cruise itself, I know I said that I refuse to ever go on a cruise again, but if there's no terrible weathers or anything like that, I will probably take a stop on this cruise, because this is actually a really cool design cruise, especially in the world of Equestria goers. I mean, this is pretty much one of the only good things I found really tolerable in this, really amazing about this special, is that they did something really better than Roller Coaster Friendship. I mean, the cruise itself is a really great place to go on, even though that there's not a lot to do, which is find Equestria magic. And I will say that the rooms that they completely go to, I guarantee that the writers who completely write this episode did a lot of research involving of what rooms that the cruise has. And I really think that the lackey itself is probably the lackey rooms in this entire room, like the dining hall, the theater, and stuff like that. I really found it really interesting, to the point that I think that in my alternative universe of fanfics of MOP, I'm definitely going to, have the cruise go back to, have the other characters or people who have been working on the cruise, have the cruise go back to life, rebuild another cruise, and completely go through the same thing with no storm destruction. Okay, here's my biggest problem that I have involving characters like Rainbow Dash being part of the spotlight. It's the fact that Rainbow Dash has went through a lot of situations, and I can understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, she is trying way too hard, to the point that she's becoming out of character. Yeah, I really think that this special alone really shows that other characters are just being out of character and forcing themselves in these situations. I mean, here's the thing, when you completely look at the scenes between Applejack, Rarity, and the other characters from Roller Coaster Friendship, you can tell that they try way too hard to fill in the one time. Yes, I know this screenshot isn't from Roller Coaster Friendship, but I'm just proving my points. I just think that seeing this as main characters, and they don't do a lot unlike Sunset Shimmer and maybe Twilight can do, it just makes the special really hard to watch. I really understand that it's really a thing that people want to see characters have some kind of spotlight in the Equestria goers, but that's basically the same thing that we expect from the MOP show, except that the difference is, the MOP show have episodes while Equestria goers only have shorts in 2 44-minute specials per year. And again, I do like the moment when Rainbow Dash completely left the cruise and go by herself on a desert island, but at the same time, I still think that that's actually kind of a stupid ideal. I mean, I can understand the moment and tense between her and her friends, but when it comes to a situation when you're on a cruise with no way out, you should just stay on the cruise. Believe me, there's no chance to able to go back onto where you're from after days of being away from your land. I mean, I know the boats are supposed to be emergencies, but this wasn't really much of an emergency. It was more of a emotional emergency when you call friendship between Rainbow Dash and her friends. And with the arguments between Twilight, Sunset, and Rainbow Dash, I think that they're trying way too hard to have these characters have some kind of focus. Even though that they're trying to do it, they're probably doing it way too hard and probably doing it for the wrong reasons. It's kind of like the argument between Rainbow Rocks, which this one is pretty much better because if you saw my rant, probably you might understand. But when you look at this by itself, I think that seeing stuff like this is probably trying way too hard to have this special pad out its 44-minute time. I mean, we've always seen the scene of Twilight Sparkle encountering so many woods in so many situations by trying to find Rainbow Dash in the jungle, but that's about it. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't like some of the one times in this. Sure, it's better than Roller Coaster of Friendship, but not better by any chance. And not only that, when Rainbow Dash completely goes into the human world, they're pretty much ideas that they're just trying to make her some kind of a focus. I mean, Rainbow Dash is one of my favorite ponies, and she's my best pony, obviously. I still think that seeing her in some kind of focus involving them going to Equestria is just probably something that they're just trying to do in order to have Rainbow Dash have some kind of arc in Equestria Goers. I mean, you can argue that Pony Dash does so many different things in Friendship is Magic, but you need to understand that Friendship is Magic has a lot of episodes and has a lot of time to focus on so many characters. With this was being once in a while thing when it comes to Equestria Goers. So seeing characters trying to get some kind of spotlight in this significant amount of screen time just really makes the special really difficult for me to easily accept Rainbow Dash as a main character. It's nice that she has some kind of a main star focus on this, but didn't she always did in Movie Magic? I mean, this is like the second time that they did that when they have Royalty have a focus on two specials, and now Rainbow Dash having the same. And even Movie Magic had a better idea of having Rainbow Dash be some kind of a focus, but also as a background character, by trying to make the movie premiere really good for the Daring Do movie. This, on the other hand, this is just trying way too hard to have other characters be in some kind of focus for the sake of fan service. And what I mean by that is people who are a fan of Human Dash. But at the same time, I can easily forgive everything else. As for most of the plots and scenes in this entire special, they're mainly mixed but also good for the good reasons. There's a scene where Sunset Shimmer completely tapped Water Lily. Yes, I do know her name. It's really not that forgettable to forget someone's name because I made a fanfic involving her in her relationship with Princess Twilight in Equestria Goers. Is completely scared to death because she realized that the end is near. And she's completely afraid that everything might come to an end. This is just basically get traumatized into a situation that the storm is going to ruin your whole vacation. And not only that, probably be the end of you. You know, just seeing this image right here just pretty much predicted that there's going to be a lot of fanfics involving Sunset Shimmer and Water Lily, involving a story that Sunset Shimmer is waiting for Water Lily and trying to cheer her up. I guess I'm probably going to do some kind of ideas if I'm ever going to make a fanfic involving these two characters when you know what I'm going to do in my possible fanfiction that I'm going to do in the future. I'm just saying that because I don't use fanfictions a lot once in a while. I've been doing that less in 2019. But my point is that some of the scenes in this really work And I really think that they probably work for the one time, even though that they're trying way too hard to pad out the time. Since it wasn't obvious enough, there's a gag going on when Applejack is completely seasick, which actually kind of works when you're in a situation when you're completely sick and you do not want to easily get yourself completely hurt in a great vacation like this. I still just don't understand why they had to have Applejack completely on this cruise. No disrespect to her, it's just that I think that if she didn't want to be seasick, then she should probably never been on this to begin with. I mean, the same thing happened with Shine Alma when he was completely air sickness when he was on the Zeppelin from Once Upon a Zeppelin from the season, which was a season 7 episode that I reviewed last year, which was also an episode that completely ended off MOP month 2. But my point is, even though that other characters have some kind of disabilities, I still think that this joke is probably doing more sake of comedy, which wasn't from Pinkie Pie to begin with. And besides, I thought that seasickness was about getting the edge of the boat when you see the water and completely terrified to the fact that your stomach is going to have that feeling, but I guess that isn't really the case. Another one of the reasons why I don't think I'm ever going to be on a cruise or like it in my life, because stuff like this could happen. And besides, I've been on a boat before, and even though I wasn't seasick, I'm still not taking that chance of going back in the ocean on a boat. I just don't. Remember that clip when we saw the Wayne-Booms completely singing a song while they're on the cruise, completely sailing, enjoying the skies, completely happy with no storm? Well, apparently it wasn't actually part of the special whatsoever. The only song that we saw from the special was the chaos when the clouds completely cover up, and the song is called All Good. Which, this song isn't really much of a song because we didn't listen to it long enough to be convinced that it's actually a real song. I'm not saying that cut songs are an issue, because they did the same, because they always did that in Forgotten Friendship when Wildflower Blush completely cut out her song because she knows that Sunset Shimmer was in her backpack. But at the same time, I still found it weird that this special, for its 44-minute length, only has this song and it wasn't completely finished. I do understand in Forgotten Friendship, but here it's just, you know, I thought that this was going to be the time when the storm was going to cause a lot of chaos on the cruise, but I guess that they probably have other different plans in mind. Which didn't ruin anything, I was just actually kind of surprised. And I'm actually kind of shocked that the song from the footage that we saw from Comic-Con didn't exist in this special. I guess it's going to be its own music video, which I'm not going to review because it's a music video and I don't review music videos. I only review shorts. Now, as for the plot when the other characters, mainly Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Applejack, completely are stranded on the cruise and they don't have any other choice because they can't use the droids in order to get themselves out of there, I think this is pretty much the realization that they pretty much know that whatever Equestria magic that they're encountering isn't going to be the same aim as before, which I'm actually kind of relieved. Because those droids, these droids, or whatever you call them, they think that they can overpower anything, but this really pretty much shows that they can't handle all the magic, which is something that I really like from this special. When it comes to the other times when they encounter big situations like equestrian magic or someone gets corrupted by magic, they can easily handle it because even though that tough battles like the Gaia Everfree fight and most of the situations that they get themselves into, they won't even compare to this. And I'm actually kind of thankful that they didn't make the Storm King's magic much of a average magic thing like we've seen from the other specials. At least it's being its own thing, just like the Memory Stone from Forgotten Friendship. And I completely adore that a lot. Well, I completely hold this up for so much time and throughout this entire review. Now, what do I think about two Twilights interacting with each other in this? Even though that there's not a lot of interactions between these two, I guess it really shows after seeing the ending of, if you read the book, Twilight's Sleepover Surprise. Just seeing the reactions to any of these characters from this screenshot from Friendship Games, which was the first movie that I began when I was become a brony in 2016, I didn't notice that they were easily taking it seriously. But after watching this special, I guess it really goes to show that anything that ever happened isn't going to be a big issue. I mean, these interactions that these two had were either a way of Twilight completely commenting on human Twilight's shoes, which was pretty much the only thing that we got involving these two becoming friends, even though that wasn't much to becoming friends, and the fact that they're completely aware of last entry, which Princess Twilight completely reacted, but at the same time, she completely got over it. And not by getting over him, I meant just getting over the fact that that he's not going to be freaking out that they're going to see two Twilights, because he pretty much knew that in Legend of Everfree. By the way, I still have a grudge against that, but not as much as I do before the special aired. I guess maybe seeing this special pretty much proves to me that they probably did a lot when it comes to interactions with other characters. Anyway, the only close conversation that we've seen between two Twilights is them completely commenting about super ponies in Ponyville. And no, not because of the comic book that Spike has been reading all the time. I mean, the fact that Twilight Sparkle has completely commented that the fact that she has said the word so many times in Sky Twilight's responses, "You ponies are like super ponies." And if you can tell by looking at Rainbow Dash in the back, he completely predicts both words. And I'm not making this up. Even if I didn't like her development for the most in this special, I still can understand that both words can happen into different situations. Anyway, I'm actually kind of relieved that they actually talked for the first time, because there's no self-paradox. If you don't know what self-paradox, there's probably a way that if both words combine each other or something, or two characters from two different words come close together, which they probably did in this special, the world would easily explode, which wasn't really the case. And besides, having two Taylor Strongs completely talking to each other in some conversations is really understandable, and I really kind of like that from the talent that she did. And besides, that happened 2 weeks ago, and I don't qualify the YouTube release date because this short completely came out just 6 days before the YouTube release. So if you actually think that paradox is a complete issue and Taylor Strong doing two voices is really difficult, I think that this and the conversations that two Twilights had in this special really shows. While I do understand that Princess Twilight didn't have any reason to easily be part of the special in order to save the magic from the Mirror World, I'm still thankful that she's actually kind of part of the special in some form. Even though that it wasn't much of a help that she did in Forgotten Friendship, she at least did something. And I know that this isn't going to be the last time we're ever going to see Princess Twilight in Equestria Girls. Just because this show is going to come to an end later this year doesn't mean that Princess Twilight is gone forever. Just keep this in mind, that I think that this is going to be a theme of what's going to happen between both worlds. This is the third time that they did this. The first was Mirror Magic when Sunset Shimmer returned to the other world. The second time was in Forgotten Friendship, and now Spring Breakdown. And each of these specials completely was released in different years. Mirror Magic 2017, Forgotten Friendship 2018, and Spring Breakdown 2019. You can tell that they're probably going to do this gimmick by having characters from the Mirror World and go to Equestria in some other way. I think that's probably going to be a thing of the ponies going to Equestria in 2020, if that's going to be the case. And besides, there's probably going to be a role reversal where Princess Twilight takes some of her friends and try to get to the other world. If you really think about it, they might be doing this ideal of trying to have magic with both worlds getting corrupted, and both worlds had to join each other at the same time in order to stop the corruption. That's basically the only predictions that I have when it comes to the finale of Equestria Girls. But that's just me though. But at the same time, I'm completely relieved that it actually happened. Even if it didn't have enough screen time, I'm actually kind of happy that it still happened. So all the videos I made about Spring Breakdown involving the Princess Twilight and Sky Twilight and the rants that I completely talked about it, I'm completely over with that. I'm just glad that I completely found this the most redeemable thing that I really enjoyed, that really made me enjoy Spring Breakdown. While there is a possibility that Princess Twilight might return in the Equestria Girls or in the Mirror World as far as I know, I can guarantee you that they're probably going to do their best to have some kind of a focus involving the worlds getting corrupted in some kind of situation. But again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. The only thing I'm glad is that I don't have to make any more videos involving this situation again. And even though I don't do a lot of fanfics like I did back in 2017 and 2018, I would still try to make a fanfic involving two Twilights hanging out on the Lackey with no destruction. And as for fanfic readings, that's probably going to be a possibility because I don't think I'm going to be able to do a lot of fanfic readings. I usually put my focus on YouTube material. But anyway, that's basically all I have to say about Spring Breakdown. This special was the only special that I can tolerate. It wasn't a torture character getting tortured like in Forgotten Friendship, like in Sunset Shimmer. I know that wasn't really the case, but people assume that. It wasn't filled with cringy comedy and forced shipping fan service like Rollercoaster of Friendship. This was just basically being its own thing. And even though that Equestria Girls is trying to be its own thing, this special completely proves it. See, stuff like this, by having characters getting through a huge situation when they're on a cruise and they think that Equestrian magic won't cause a lot of chaos, is something that Equestria Girls should be its own thing, but also have some kind of relationship with the other world. I mean, I can understand new character design, which is pretty much one of the only things that Equestria Girls is good at, unlike, well, to be honest, both shows do good okay. Two shows can do the good at character designs. I still think that they probably need to put some kind of focus involving the statue leaking. That's pretty much one of the biggest focuses that I want to see in the Equestria Girls. I can understand that this show needs some kind of way to give us occupation, and this and Forgotten Friendship pretty much kind of proves it. You need to understand the Rollercoaster of Friendship wasn't an occupation. It was more of a shipping fan service fanfic coming to light, but forced into that giant mess of a 44-minute special. This special, on the other hand, actually knows what it's supposed to do. Have some kind of one time between this special, but also have some kind of an interesting comeback at the end of the special. In moments like these really shows that they can easily handle some serious situations, because even though that they didn't take down the Storm King's magic, which is the pulling up form, they at least saved everyone from the cruise. And I really think that's probably the only thing that I didn't think that was actually going to happen in this special. I didn't predict that the cruise was going to sink. I thought that people were going to repair it and they could get back to the Lackey cruise vacation. But the ending proved us wrong. Much that even though that it does have its problems, I still kind of found this special way more enjoyable and way more tolerable, and pretty much the only special that I can sit through the most. The first time I can easily sit through an Equestria Girls product or project is either the first movie and maybe the third movie. I'm not just saying that it's probably being not trying to take itself safe in order to make the special really good. I just think that they're probably trying to do different things but done for the wrong reasons. But for this, even though there were a few issues that I have, I still found this special probably one of my favorites. The problems I have are still there. Seriously, the screenshot shows of Wimberdash talking to Sunset and Twilight, and she didn't even hear the fire say no. Seriously. She wasn't even wearing headphones. I just found that scene really difficult for me to take it seriously, and never mind. Anyway, I recommend watching this special from beginning to end. Even though it isn't as better as Forgotten Friendship, it's still way more tolerable than Roller Coaster Friendship, and that is saying a lot. Anyway, I give this special an 8 out of 10. And that wraps up My Little Pony Month number 3. Just letting you know, I am going to do the marathon, but just keep this in mind that it's going to take a while for me to review all the episodes, because I haven't reviewed all the episodes, and I'm going to do that once Season 9 is officially over. Anyway, I'm Lonely Fanboy Frey here, and I hope you really enjoyed MLP Month number 3. Thank you.